Let some data over a wire via networking? Yeah, let's go. If you want to go deeper, the 26.x modding courses are linked down below. 30 plus hours covering complex block entities with fluid and energy handling, custom mobs, custom networking, and even custom biomes and dimensions. Everything you need for 26.x all in one place, linked down below in the description. Alright, my friends, back in Jalen with more, and in this tutorial we're not only going to learn about networking, but we're also going to learn a little bit about stream codecs. Not necessarily codecs in general, but stream codecs. So you will understand stream codecs after this video. That's my hopeful message over here. At least I will do my very best to explain them to you. Let's take a look over here for the networking. This is of course a continuation of the key mapping tutorial. Highly recommended to check that out, which is the one previous in the series, because the key mapping is basically we press a key, in our case the Kaupenjoe key, which is K, and then something happens. Right now the only thing that happens is we're going to get an output that says I just pressed the Kaupenjoe key. So nothing really too exciting. However, now we're also going to send a packet from the client to the server, and that's going to basically allow us to do anything we want. And that's really cool. So let's take a look over here in the tutorial mod package. We're going to make a new package called networking, and there we'll need one more package, which is the packet package. So this is where our packets go. A packet is basically a certain amount of data that gets sent over the wire, quote unquote, or via the network. Basically, this allows us to communicate via the client and the server. Our packet is just going to be the test payload over here, and I always like to add the payload, not quite payload. There we go. And I always like to add C to S or S to C at the end to know this is a packet that is being sent from the client to the server. That's what that means. Highly recommended to do that. That just makes it a little bit easier to understand what is happening here. Then we will have 3 classes in the networking package as well. We're only going to need 2 of them, but I like to have all of them. This is the client bound packets. Then we're going to have the server bound packets as well. This is the server bound packets. There we go. And finally, the mod packets as well for registration. I'm going to start over here with the test payload C2S. This is basically the thing that we're going to send over the wire. Not quite, but almost. We're going to make this a record right here. This is going to be a record. And it's going to have a string name parameter and an int value. In theory, those 2 are not needed, but it will illustrate the point of the stream codec way better, because otherwise we would have just an empty stream codec. That's not quite what I had in mind here. And then also basically it shows you can send all sorts of data via networking. This will implement the custom packet payload interface, which only needs to implement one method, which is the type method. This one we're going to have a deliberate error, and we're going to make the type right here very straightforwardly. This is going to be a public static final type. This is from this really long custom packet payload over here. This is the type of type, and then whatever class you're in this case. So test payload C2S is going to be the type equal to a new type right here, passing in identifier from namespace and path, tutorial mod.modID, and this is just the test payload over here. Easy enough. And then we're going to do this, and there you go. That's the type. You can return the type right here, making sure this is the actual field, not the class. There we go. And now we have the type. And now we get to the codec. The first question is, what is even a codec? Well, there's 2 different types of codecs. There's codec, right? And there's the stream codec. Those are the 2 sort of types. A normal codec allows you to create a Java object instance, right? Instance from JSON file and write to JSON file. So basically you have any sort of, Java object, the player with, an integer health and a string name, and you can create a new player from a JSON file, and you can write that player to a JSON file. So basically codecs allow you for serialization. That's really cool. Now the question is, what about a stream codec? What does that do? Well, that basically does the same thing, but it allows you to create it, or to basically take that particular instance. So take a Java object, turn it into bytes for network traffic, and then of course turn bytes, right? Turn bytes into a new object again, right? That's the idea. So that is the headline over here for codecs and stream codecs. In our case, we only need a stream codec for the payload because the packets are never serialized into JSON files. Doesn't really make that much sense. And don't even get me started if you're like, well, couldn't you make it into a JSON file and then send it via the network? If that was your first thought, I do recommend you go and read a little bit of networking 101. Maybe some data management, because writing to disk is about I don't know, 10,000 times slower than turning stuff into bytes. So, but regardless of that, that's a whole different thing. What we're going to do is we're going to make a public static final stream codec over here. And the stream codec codec, as you can see, has two different generics. The first generic is the whatever byte, byte thing that we are going to make in order to send stuff over. In our case, we're going to use the registry byte buff, registry friendly byte buff. That's what we're going to use right here. And then the second one is the class that we want to, well, that this object turns into and out of. So this would be test payload C2S. This is the stream underscore codec equal to stream codec.composite. And now here comes the issues, right? Because if you take a look at what the composite method takes, right? If you, like, let's say I do this, and then you can see the suggestions over here. You're like, what is this insanity? It takes a function of this to object and a getter and a construct, and you just are like, what is happening? Exactly. You got to calm down. Okay. What you have to basically tell the stream codec is you have to give it sort of the recipe on how to create the test payload. And in the way to do it is to basically break everything down into their own stream codecs. Basically, you have to tell it, hey, this is the type of data we want to serialize, and then what is the equivalent of that type inside of our custom class. So to do that for primitive types, we can use the byte buff codecs over here, byte buff codecs.string UTF-8 for the string, because notice the first parameter over here is a string. Interesting. And now we have to define, or basically tell it, hey, this particular field is what we're referring to, and that's going to be the test payload C2S : name. So you can see this is the first step, and these two lines basically, cover the string name parameter. Now, in theory, this is actually everything you need in order to theoretically get the next two lines as well. Now, I'm going to help you with the first one, because that's going to be byte buff codecs again, but here you want to use the var int. And now this line right here, you should be able to know what that is. Really, it is basically almost the exact same as the second line right here, with one tiny change. Because what are we serializing as an integer? Of course, the value field over here, meaning that this turns into test payload C2S : value. And then, because those are the only two different fields that we have, right? This is all we need. We can then basically end this all with a test payload : new. That is the constructor. So this is how we are actually going to create the test payload. Now, as an exercise over here, I highly recommend you do this. We're not going to need this, but in the record, if I now add an item stack over here, boom, item stack, right? Obviously now the stream codec is going to be like, oh, I don't know how to deal with this item stack over here. So we need to now add this. First thing, because item stack is a Minecraft specific and like a complicated class, right? It's not a primitive class basically, or not a primitive type. That means that this is usually stored in the class itself, right? So the block pause, for example, block pause.stream codec. In this case, it's item stack.stream codec. So the stream codec for the item stack is saved in itself. Now, what is this line right here? If you don't know that by now, then come on. I know that you know this. You're just afraid to say it. You have two examples, perfect examples right here. What is this line? It is, of course, test payload C2S and then : stack. Obviously, don't forget the comma over here. We're still within a method call, right? So these are individual parameters over here that we're adding over here into the composite method. But that is the idea. And this is it. This is how a stream codec is sort of fit together. Now, if you had your own custom class right here, which might be the case, then that one also needs a stream codec. So you basically go down the hierarchy until you can basically create whatever sort of creation you have. Let's say you have a player, like this is not necessarily like, Minecraft centric, but let's just imagine you had a player and that player has, the player has like a string name and then like an int health, and then maybe it has like a mana handler provider or something like that, right? And then obviously the mana handler provider needs a stream codec, and you go into that one, and that now has like, 3 integers and like a float, and then maybe another custom class. And you have to go down until all of the stream codecs are created. If that's like a little bit, I don't know what you're talking about, Kaupenjoe, that's fine. Generally speaking, just codecs really aren't as crazy. Stream codecs aren't as crazy. It's just a matter of understanding, okay, this is the setup. This is sort of the recipe to create the test payload C2S. And now this particular stream codec will turn the test load C2S into a registry friendly byte buff, and it's going to turn the registry friendly byte buff back into a test payload C2S so that it is usable on the other side. Pretty neat. With that being done, we can register the payload over here in our mod packets. So the mod packets are going to look kind of like this. We're going to have 3 methods. The first one is going to be the private, and we're going to actually start with that. Yeah, private static void register client bound, and this is going to be a payload. This is a payload type registry of type registry friendly byte buff. Yes, there we go. This is going to be the registry. Now this one is going to get kept empty because registry, like client bound, means that these payloads are sent from the server to the client. I always like to add comments when it comes to networking, because sometimes even I can forget. These payloads are sent from server to client, meaning these are S2C. That is why it's called client bound, right? Because it is bound towards the client. Then we have a private static void register server bound. This one is also a payload type registry, this time also of registry friendly byte buff. I'm gonna call this registry. And this one, where we can actually just copy the this one over here. This one is where they are sent from the client to the server. So this is the C2S right here. And this is why this is called server bound. Very important. Here, we're going to say registry.register, passing in the test payload C2S type, and then the test payload stream codec. That is going to register our custom packet. And then the server needs to be able to handle this. In order to handle this, we're going to say server play networking.register global receivers or global receiver. We register the type, meaning that every time the test payload C2S is being received by the server, we're going to call the server bound packets : handle test payload. So this is of course a method that doesn't exist right now because we have to create it. We're going to create it in a second. The last step here is to make a public static void register packets method. There we go. And this is where we're just going to call register client bound with payload type registry. And this is the client bound play. And then this is the server bound play. Very straightforward. And that is basically having this all set up so you can also theoretically make packets sending things from the server to the client. The register packets method is inside of the tutorial mod class. This is the mod packets.register packets. Very straightforward. There we go. We don't need this anymore. The client bounds we also in theory don't need, right? But very importantly, we're going to add this one over here. Here we are on the client. Very, very important. And on the server bounds, well, this is where we hover over this to create that particular method. It will then already have all of the things over here, which is like really useful. And then also here, I'm going to add the comment. Anything in there, we are on the server, right? This is very important. We are on the server over here, meaning we can very, very easily now save some things like entity types.cow.spawn, context.player.level, and then we can say context.player.getPausOn, and this is going to be the triggered reason, and all of a sudden we can spawn a cow when a test payload is received. And if in theory you can do all sorts of things, you can of course see that you get the player via the context right here. So this is the player that has basically sent this particular payload. Absolutely fantastic. Now the last question that you might have is, okay, how do I send this payload though? Very straightforwardly, because we need to send this from the client to the server. And luckily we have a certain place where we are definitely on the client right here. Oh, would you look at that? Almost as if I planned it. To send this, you want to call the client play networking.send and then make a new test payload over here. This is the new test payload C2S. This one needs a name, Kaupenjoe, and let's say value 42 right here. In this case, we're not actually using either the string like the name or the value. However, it does show that basically you can add all sorts of data into your packets, which can be quite important because usually you want to send data to the from client to server and from server to client. So that is actually quite important over here to note. But yeah, now every time that the server receives the test payload C2S, it's going to spawn a cow. So I mean, I would say let's just jump into the game and see if it cows. All right, find us back in Minecraft, and let's just press the K key, and well, look at that. Something did not quite work. All right, who saw it? Who saw where I messed up? Of course, right here, register client bound. This has to be register server bound. Oopsie. So I changed the method call right here, but I didn't change the method call right here. Basically meaning that the payload wasn't registered. Of course, I just did this for the eagle-eyed viewers to notice. It happens, but all the code down below, of course, is going to be totally fine. And now when we join the game and press the K key, it's going to work pretty much as intended with a bunch of cows. Moo indeed. Nice. And that is custom networking over here. Client to server added to Minecraft. Awesome. As always, all of the code is available to you down below, but that's going to be it for this tutorial right here. Thank you so much for watching, and thanks for the patrons and YouTube members for the support. Don't forget, if you join as a Stonebricks member, you can get up to 14 days of early access, including this video right here. We'll modify some vanilla loot tables. Until then, so yeah.